Hi everybody, Nick Ryan, manager for Syndicated production for FORA.tv, and I was thinking, if you've ever visited the FORA.tv website or you've watched a lot of our clips on YouTube, you've probably noticed that we have a lot of book authors on FORA.tv, not just fiction writers and journalists, but also lots of professional people who are writing about what they do or their memoirs. And so I thought it would be kind of interesting to do, kind of in a nod to a lot of the summer reading lists that are popping up all over the internet around this time of year, to do like a FORA.tv summer reading list where our staff is talking about books that they found through the website that they're planning on reading this summer. And so I thought I'd start things off. I couldn't make up my mind. I'm cheating. I actually have two books. The first of them is Einstein, His Life and Universe, by Walter Isaacson. Walter Isaacson, of course, being the former managing editor of Time magazine, had a big hand in picking Einstein as the person of the century, Time's person of the century for the 20th century. I hear it's written really well and comprehensible for people who don't have a degree in physics, such as myself. Kind of large. Might take me a little while to get through this, but if I manage to get through it this summer, I'm going to be reading The Year of Living Biblically, One Man's Humble Quest to Follow the Bible as Literally as Possible by A.J. Jacobs. I am not religious at all, but I really enjoy religion as a topic of discussion. And this looks like a really interesting book about personal faith and biblical literalism. So that's what I'm reading this summer.
Hi, I'm Michael, one of the post-production editors at FORA, and I have a book recommendation for your summer reading list. It's written by Mary Roach, and it's called Bonk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex. As the title suggests, it's about sex, the human body, and the oddity of studying it in a science lab. After reading it, you'll be able to impress your friends with amazing facts and shockingly funny stories. If you liked Roach's earlier book Stiff, Bonk will be right up your alley. But you don't have to take my word for it.
Hi there, I'm Bob Appel, the Senior Vice President of Production and Administration at FORA.tv, and I'm going to read Khaled Hosseini's second book, 1,000 Splendid Suns, this summer, which is the follow-up to The Kite Runner. I loved that book. I thought it was incredibly beautiful, and I'm looking forward to reading this book this summer. I did not see The Kite Runner movie because I didn't want to ruin the book, and movies often do that. So I'm excited to jumping into this one, and I'll report on what I thought about it later this summer. Bye-bye.
My name is Charissa, and I'm an editorial intern at FORA.tv. And this summer I'm looking forward to reading a book called Off Mic by Michael Krasny. And he is actually one of my professors in the grad program at SF State, San Francisco State. And I'm TAing for him next semester. So I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see the way he writes after learning about other authors from him.
Well, this summer I plan to read Fareed Zakaria's The Post-American World. There are two FORA clips, one from one of our newest partners, the Los Angeles Public Library with their terrific Aloud series, and the other from the Commonwealth Club. Watching both of those on FORA, and I saw Fareed speak at the World Affairs Councils of America event a couple of years ago, and just really enjoyed hearing him, and I love reading his columns. So that's one of the books I plan to read this summer.
Hello, FORA.tv. It's Trevor Mazza, Director of Video Productions here at FORA. So the book that I'm reading is by no means a new book, so you're not going to find it on your summer blockbuster hit list. But it's an old classic by author Tom Wolfe, who I'm sure most of you have heard of. But the specific book is The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. This book actually has a lot of significance in my life, not because I'm some acid-crazed lunatic, but because I first read the book as an 18-year-old idealistic youth living in Plainfield, Indiana, sort of cut off from the world, and I was really interested in sort of what happened during the 60s and the counterculture. So 10 years later, I'm now revisiting the book, about halfway through it, and it's just amazing to read through it and have context, because I've lived here in the Bay Area now for about 6 years, I guess now, so I know the area, and now reading the book, it's just so much more relevant to my life and my surroundings. So if you haven't read the book, do yourself a favor and check it out. I think we have Tom Wolfe on the site at least twice, so you can also hear a little bit more from the author's mouth. All right, FORA, take care.
Hi, my name is Adrian. I'm an editorial intern at FORA, and I'd like to recommend one of the books I heard about through FORA. It's Raj Patel's Stuffed and Starved. He's a visiting scholar at UC Berkeley in African Studies, and this book really takes off where Michael Appel leaves off in discussing the global food crisis and sustainable agriculture and biofuels and GMOs. It's just a really fascinating book, and I'd like to recommend it. You can also see his talks on FORA. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Maureen, and I'm Syndication editor at FORA. I would like to recommend the former U.S. Poet Laureate Billy Collins' book, The Trouble with Poetry and Other Poems. With a frank pose, Collins' poems are catchy and comedic at the very least. I wonder how you're going to feel when you find out that I wrote this instead of you, is how the first poem in the book begins. Now an excerpt from Special Glasses. I had to send away for them because they are not available in any store. They look the same as any sunglasses, with a light tint and silvery frames, but instead of filtering out the harmful rays of sun, they filter out the harmful sight of you.
Hello, my name is Avery Lee, and I'm a video editor at FORA. And this summer, I plan on reading The Feminine Mistake by Leslie Bennetts. When I heard that Tina Brown said, "The feminine mistake will inspire a new generation to celebrate the promise and the power of being a woman," I said, I will read this book this summer. The feminine mistake, I truly believe, will inspire women to accept the challenge of figuring out who they are and what they want to do with their lives in addition to birthing children, which I cannot do yet.
So that's what we're all reading this summer. We'd like to hear what you're reading too, so leave us a comment below. And thanks for sharing, and thanks for watching.